Go for it.
The air filters have been replaced. The beads in the seat cover are starting to slide in the wrong crevices, and the oil leak has officially ruined your parents' driveway. It's time to take the high road. This is where we play music.
Really good music.
Oh, so I'm not supposed to hum the song. Okay.
You know the song? Oh, you're a big fan, huh? you know that. Oh, welcome back to the show, Jake. It looks like you're in prison, or where are you?
I mean, it's close to prison. It's Lincoln, Nebraska. I mean, it feels like a cage in this town. No, yeah, I'm almost finished up my West Coast trip and gonna be driving to Chicago here today and tomorrow, and then I'll be done with my
All right, let's
West Coast
introduce
trip.
I'm kidding. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
That's all. I mean, I was almost finished. Yep. Just gotta take a drink of our Black Rifle canned coffee. Even though
any chance I can pause for a second? I'm getting a call from work that I need to
Oh
take.
my
I've
God,
ruined everything.
dude.
Yeah, you get off of there, and Jake and I will
This
discuss.
is our job, and now
I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, that was a good start.
Look at this.
Is the can gone?
That's weird.
Is it disguised with the black dude behind you? It's blending in with.
You can't say black dude on air.
Yeah, you can. It's not rude. See, look, mine doesn't. But look, like if I don't understand that, like if you're drinking it, the company, like you're covering the. Why don't they make it so it's when you're drinking it, the label's right here, so that like this.
Do you think it just? Do you think some
the
are
machine?
different? Like you're right. I think about that a lot. Like why don't you put it out so that people are like so when you're,
I mean, I feel the machine should be able to straighten it out. How'd work go?
Well, you guys hate me a lot,
dude. No, if
I'm
you
sorry.
cancel right now, that's it.
You're fired. You're not getting your paycheck.
Nope. Hold the
So
check.
my coworker's out of town, and a surgeon who's not supposed to be on call is adding a case. Someone's neck is broken.
Oh
and they
dear.
need me. And
Not my problem.
I did everything I could to insulate myself from this problem. It's why my kids don't like me. This type of shit, and it's why you will now not like me.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for
wish I was
joining us,
kidding.
John.
You're joking, right? Are you
No,
joking?
I'm
or
not
are you
joking.
serious?
I absolutely wish I was joking. I'm not joking.
Well, anyway, John came on for a minute. He has a Seattle Supersonics hat on. He's repping the 90s alt rock scene, the grunge scene. All right, John, we'll see you later, huh, man?
Nope. Real quick. This is a 2-minute rush. Run it. What are your 3 albums, 3 songs? Go.
Okay. We start with albums.
From the
Yeah,
90s,
yeah.
tell me your tops. Let's go.
So number 3, I came in with my underrated albums was Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream.
Okay.
I think that's not an album that gets talked about enough. I think every song is listenable, and I think it just, I don't know. I love that album. Number 2, Live, Throwing Copper. I had a buddy I used to work with. We talked about Live being maybe one of the more underrated bands of the 90s. Maybe I'm not cool. Maybe I don't know. I like them a lot. And then number 1, again, I'm glad we're playing fast and loose with The Alternative. I did this as sort of a joke, but also I kind of believe it. Number 1 is Creed, My Own Prison. I know Creed's not cool. I know Nickelback's not cool. I know, but you know what? I like that album.
No, you're wrong. I think Creed's finding that second win that they've been waiting for recently.
That's true. That's true. I think you're right, actually.
Those are good
right.
choices, John. Those are good choices. I think that they're decent albums, and I think all underrated. But yeah, and now top 3 songs. What are we doing?
So number 3 is a little bit of a random one. It's more just because I heard it recently and liked it. I was a fan of Bush in the 90s, James and the band. The song Little Things has really been resonating with me lately. Some of their other songs are a little almost like they're trying too hard, but Little Things, man, is just a simple jam that I like.
Yeah.
So this is a live version that I think we watched, right, together at Jake's house.
We did. It was the day my now wife went away to college for a day, and we watched this at Jake's house. Yeah.
In my room, just sweating her butts off.
Just
Yeah.
crawling through the
good times.
window, and yeah.
Yeah, good song, John. I appreciate it. All
Choice.
right, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 song is "Better Than Ezra." I'm reminded of the Norm Macdonald Saturday Night Live joke where the number 2 song was Ezra, and then the only thing better than Ezra is "Better Than Ezra." So "Desperately Wanting." I don't know why. The song's always resonated with me. It sounds like a happy song, but it's actually pretty sad. And again, just simple and don't have to think about it too much, but I enjoy it.
Good choice. I love that album actually. I agree. I think the whole album's sort of underrated. Personally.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
See if we can get to the hook really quick. We won't be able to, but anyway, okay, Better Than Ezra. Good choice, John. What's your
Number 1.
My number 1 underrated song from the 90s is by Pearl Jam, and it's "Corduroy." I think there's just something super cool about that song. The way the pace changes, the contrast between like the slower and the faster moving parts. And then the backstory to the song, I think, is super cool. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's probably pretty widely published out there, but shortly after Pearl Jam got big, Eddie Vedder saw a vest for sale, corduroy vest for sale in some shop for like $400. And they were selling it, and he felt bad that he was raising prices for people. And so it's just about his wrestling with becoming famous, which I can't relate to, but nevertheless is a cool story and a good song.
Yeah, no, this is my favorite Pearl Jam song of all time.
No kidding.
Yep, I listened to this in 8th grade on like repeat, just being like sad and depressed, not knowing that I was sad and depressed. Moving schools, having to deal with Jake for the first time in my life. I just had to listen to it. I brought my CD player, my Discman, hid it in my sweatshirt, just listened to this during yearbook class with Miss Pistoresi. But yeah, this is my favorite Pearl Jam song. Good choice, John. I do think it's a little underrated. It's not one that you hear like on the radio. I listen to a lot of radio still, John. I don't know if you do, but for some reason I can't quit it. I love radio, but that one doesn't get played enough for my liking. But hey, good choices. All right, John, you got to hop off and make us some money.
Yeah, I'm sorry, fellas. I really do apologize. Jokes aside, I'm an idiot. I hate me more than you hate me.
No, that was a good.
No, it's fine, bud. We'll send you the early cancellation fee.
Yeah, it's a $25. Sorry, but yeah.
I'll pay you on Tuesday then.
All right, man.
No.
Have
Thanks,
fun in
boys.
that. Have fun in that spine surgery.
I can't wait.
John, we'll have you on again for something like ambiguous or whatever, random, maybe movies or something. But you're not out of this. You're not completely out of this.
I appreciate that. I'll do my best to ruin that one too.
Perfect.
All right, man.
boys.
Best guess yet.
All right, see you guys.
Later, dude.
You love to
So
see it.
I guess we're just stuck with each other's again.
God, this is the worst.
I feel like we need that third person to kind of buffer between our hatred
need
towards each other.
Right. Buffer it. All right. Well, you want to. What am I saying here? Well, let's go with your number 3 album. You want to do your album? Your third most underrated album. You ready for it or not?
Not really.
Okay. So do you
Can
want me?
Well, yeah, you go first. I mean, it's because I'm just trying to, out of the 5 that I sent you, I'm trying to like, all right, this is because I was like, in the text, I was like, this is tough to rank. You know what I mean? And it's, I almost want to just say I don't have them ranked. These are just the 3. You know what I mean? So let me do that, and I'll just in no particular order. I'll pull 2 of the albums, and I'll just pick the top 3.
All right. Well, I think you're right. I was very tempted to go to my shed the last couple of days and just pull out every CD that I own, just because I know I'm gonna forget something. And like tomorrow, if we were to do this podcast tomorrow, kind of like I said with the Christian podcast, like my list might change. So as of today, these are my like 3 underrated albums of the 90s, and then I have the 3 songs too. So at number 3, I have the Rentals with their 7 More Minutes album. I think it came out in 99. The Friends of Peace song. You know that song, The Rentals, came out in 95.
I'm sure I'm sure I've heard it. I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah. No, it's so the bass player for Weezer had his own band, The Rentals. Had like a radio hit with Friends of P off their debut album in 95, and then their second album came out, and I didn't even know it came out. I think it was 98 or 99. And it just kind of fell through the wayside. Like I don't think I really heard it since 2000, or I hadn't heard it. First time hearing it was like 2001, maybe 2001. So like a couple years after it came out. And it's just a solid album, like very synth heavy, just joyful, playful, very, reminiscent of like sort of a Blue Album feel that Weezer kind of went away from in Pinkerton, but the Rentals were able to keep that sort of going. I just don't think if people know the Rentals, maybe they know that first album, they don't know that second album. So that's my number 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna well, here's the deal. We did finish fast, or I mean, we this probably was gonna be a longer episode with John's input and discussion. So can you humor me? And I'm gonna name some, and then I might try and add on the 4th and 5th one and bully you to talking about it.
Okay.
Because it's so like all 5 albums that I picked from the 90s, it seemed like all from 97 to later. And I tried to go back and look at like the early 90s, and it's like, yeah, you have Nirvana and some other ones. And I don't know if I was younger and didn't really appreciate music as much as like when we were in high school, 17 and 18 years old, and started having more diverse taste. And you just talking about the Rentals, I'm sure I heard about them, but even I couldn't even name you 2 songs off the album. So I guess I'm still a little sheltered. But every album I picked, all 5, like I would say 6 to 8 songs on each album are good songs, and then most of the other ones are listenable. But I would have to say definitely not in the top 3. I think might be Built to Spill. I know I put it in there, keep it like a secret. I feel like they have like 4 or 5 really good songs, and there's about 5 that aren't that great. So I would say I'm removing that one, and I would say I'd have to remove, if I had to pick between the Foo Fighters, There's Nothing Left to Lose, and the Third Eye Blind, I might pick the Foo Fighters one as my number 3. I think that. I love the color and the shape from 96, 97. I feel like they had back-to-back bangers of albums for Foo Fighters. And but I just feel like if we're talking underrated, I don't think there was, I feel like There's Nothing Left to Lose in 99 wasn't that like big of a smash. I didn't hear about it too much, but there's some really good songs on there. And I listed, one of my favorite songs you picked to play. So now that I especially went back last night and listened to a lot of those songs, I feel like just as you get older, you have a different perspective and might appreciate or just gonna miss something being young and not paying attention. But my number 3 for most underrated album is Foo Fighters, There's Nothing Left to Lose.
Yeah, not bad. I wasn't a huge fan of that album. What was the single of that?
The big hits, I wasn't even a super fan of. They had oh my goodness, I'm totally blanking now that we're on the show. It was
is it Born to Fly or whatever? Or was that from that one?
Born to Fly. That I actually didn't like the radio hits. And so that album, like the 2 big hits that were on the radio weren't even really my favorite. I don't know if they got played out, but Generator, Headwires, MIA, like all the ones that weren't real big hits, I actually like more than Learning to Fly. I think it was Learning to Fly.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now. Yeah, you're right. There's a handful of Learn to Fly, right? That's what it was.
I mean, there's Stacked Actors, which is great. Oops, sorry.
About Courtney Love.
Right. So Stacked Actors, Breakout. Yeah, Learn to Fly. I don't even have it saved on my Spotify as a favorite because I'm not a big fan of it. You got Generator, Aurora, Next Year, Headwires, Ain't It the Life, and MIA. I mean, I have
Breakout was good. I like the Breakout song.
Yeah, Breakout was really good. But if you listen to Generator, and are you gonna play that one?
Yeah, I will play it later. It's one of your 3. No, it's great. No, you're right. And I think for you young folks out there, like back in the day, there was a lot of one-hit wonders in the 90s, right? I mean,
Yep.
just going through these lists and like trying to pick, you're like, oh my gosh, there was a lot of just bands that had one song and then just kind of faded away. Some
Mhm.
like big songs too that you're like, whoa, those guys just never became anything. So to go, and I remember going and getting like an album or a CD, and if you'd go based on the single that you heard for the most part, and then you're lucky if
Yep.
you got like one other song that was good. That was good. So when you got an album, and I always said if there's more than like if there's 4 or more songs on it that you're listening to, it's a decent album. It's a good album. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, you had to switch your CDs out in your car, right? So
Yep.
you didn't want to put the CD in for just one song. So yeah, you're right. When we're looking at these albums, it's like more than 4 songs that you'd listen to. I think that was always been my personal, like, if you have more than 4 songs that I want to listen to, that's a decent album. And the more you add
Yeah.
to it.
No, and I think all the good bands that are on my list, had not necessarily back to back, but had multiple albums that were good. So I think that's why they maintained or became more and more popular. And it's unfortunate, but yeah, a couple of my picks, or at least some of the albums I really like, they were not one hit wonders, but they were one album wonders, and they just didn't follow up with really any good records after that.
Yeah. And to go back a little bit to the Built to Spill, Keep It Like a Secret, I think that might be my top 5 albums of all time. I think you and I maybe don't see eye to eye with the other songs on there, but that's a great album. Anything else you want to say about that Foo Fighters album?
No, well, and back to us being old in the 90s, I finally saw the Foo Fighters in concert back in like 2000, summer of 2019. My buddy Mac and his wife Linda took me, and it was actually at Wrigley Field, and it was before obviously the drummer died, and it was before COVID, I want to say. So we're all just packed in there in the stadium or the ballpark of Wrigley Field, and they rocked it out. It was super good. And but half the songs they played in 2019, I didn't know, because I only really knew their first 3 albums. So a lot of the things that came out in the late 2000s and 2010s, I didn't know. So it was if you're like, the young people were all singing to the newer songs. It was like, bro, I was like, kind of thinking to myself, their bangers were back in the 90s. Like, go listen to their old stuff. And so I think going back, you hear of a band and you might not hear of them until like 2 or 3 albums later. So you got to go back and see where they came from, kind of thing.
No, and you're right. I've not been a big Foo Fighter guy probably since the album after, I don't know what you, Color and Shape was the second one. There's Nothing Left to Lose.
I don't even remember
One by One, maybe. Like I was like, I kind of stopped after that. But the first album, that was on my short list of underrated. Their self-titled first album is incredibly good. That's one I'll pull out every once in a while and just listen to, from 95.
Yeah,
I'll stick around might be one of the most like legendary 90s rock anthems as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they had a great breakthrough album, and they followed up with 2 really good albums. So I think that's why the only reason they're still in the scene now is because they have such a good catalog of good songs.
Yeah, and that's what's a bummer when you listen to the radio. They play the same like 4 Foo Fighters songs, and you're just kind of like, all right, I'm sick of, like, it makes you dislike the Foo Fighters a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas like, man, they have such a big catalog, especially those early. You could play so many more songs. Like I never hear "I'll Stick Around" anymore on the radio, which was like their first single, I believe. All right, yeah, not a bad choice, Jake. With my number 2 for most underrated albums of the 90s, I went with 7 Mary 3. No, he doesn't. He's giving me the thumbs down. This one was tough. I couldn't decide between Rock Crown and American Standard, and I think I'm gonna go with Rock Crown on this one, which is their second album, I believe. Everybody knows 7 Mary 3 from Cumbersome, which was off American Standard, but the second album, kind of like the Rentals one, it just kind of went away. There was, I think their single might have been Lucky, which is kind of like it's a very like heavy, sad album, which is weird. And it came out in 99 as well. And what I was noticing with Jake, your list, my list, and even John's list, that mid to late 90s kind of it kind of slipped away like too quick as far as I was concerned. Like, and I think there's reasons for it, but like the Rental second album, me not hearing it for like 2 years, and then I got this Rock Crown by Seven Mary 3, and I thought it was amazing, and I think they only had one single off that album. And then it just kind of slipped away and they were gone. Which is weird because that 90s, you had the heavier, it wasn't metal, but it was like a gruff like sound. And you had like Disturbed and Stained and, maybe even Korn to a certain extent, like heavier songs that were coming up that were still relevant, like late 90s into the early 2000s. There was that chain of rap rock, new metal, I guess they call it. But there was also a gruff like rock sound that was still around, but for some reason they didn't stick around. And I did some research, and it looks like they had some issues with their label, not promoting the album. So they started their own label, and then they did their own promotion. But I think that album's fantastic. Lucky's good. It's like sad, so maybe it's not the most uplifting album, but there's something very poignant about the lyrics, and his voice is really cool. The lead singer. So why don't you tell me what you thought of that album, James? Like, I don't know what that album is.
I'm just shaking my head. It sucks because I'd love to be able to talk to you about it, like you talked about my pick. So, I'm just I'm at a loss of words. Sorry, bud.
Hey, did you go back and listen to the Blind Melon album that Christian?
I did, and I actually was going to do a shout out. Christian, it doesn't surprise me, bud, if you're listening, that I don't agree with you. You don't have good taste. The album was not that good. It was good, and Mouthful of Cavities was pretty good, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe I've never heard this song. It was good, but it was kind of like when I hang out with Christian. It was good, but it wasn't great,
That's funny. So I've known about that album, the Blind album. We're going back a little bit, but it's an okay album. That's how I felt too. But it's funny how subjective it is. Like he loves it, and I love this like Seven Mary 3 album. And I'm guessing you'd be like, eh.
I listened to Seven Mary 3. I tried to listen to more of the songs besides the two big hits, and I couldn't get through it. Like a lot of the songs, I would give at least a minute and a half, or fast forward. Listen to the first 30 seconds, then go to the middle of the song and kind of listen for another 30 seconds. And I just couldn't get hooked on it. I couldn't be like, oh, I want to hear this whole thing. And that's kind of my gauge now. If like first 30 seconds catches me, cool. If it doesn't, I'll go to the middle of the song and kind of give it another 30 seconds. And if there's not some type of lyric or guitar riff that I'm really enjoying, I can't commit.
Yeah. Are you talking about the Blind Melon album, or are you talking about the Seven Mary 3?
Both. I listened to both of the albums. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. And there was something about the 90s too, where the intros maybe were a little long, and like, you know what I mean? Like there's like, all right, you're waiting for it. And then the hook, and maybe you wouldn't even get to the hook by a minute and a half,
Yeah.
I'm mistaken that the Rock Crown came out in 97, which is, I did not respect that. But again, it's for some reason, I'm guessing it was because of the label and them dealing with it. Was one of the reasons that one didn't become as successful as their first album. But yeah, go give that a listen to again, Jake. You on your next 7-hour road trip, go listen to both the Seven Mary 3 albums for me. All right, so what do you got for number 2?
This is tough, man, because there's I feel like it was so good, so much good music in the, like you said, mid to late 90s. It's between, I'm just gonna say all three, and I don't know how to rank them and I'm actually gonna drop Third Eye Blind. I know it's a good song and they got some bangers, but I can't rank them. So the three that I'm having trouble ranking are the Everclear, So Much for the Afterglow, Blink-182, Enema of the State, which was 99. Everclear, So Much for the Afterglow was 97, and then Marcy Playground, self-titled, was in 97. Because all three albums, I have 7 or 8 songs that I've liked, and I think you could say Blink-182 is the least diverse as far as different sounding songs and all that stuff. But I just felt like even when they rocked out, songs all sounded different to me for the sound of Blink. But I would say And there's so many good memories from listening to the songs too, and so I'm trying to like keep emotion out of it and just raise his hand. Go ahead.
Well, what I'll say is, I don't think that Blink 182 album, sorry, excuse me, is underrated. So maybe let's just remove that one. I think it's properly rated. I think it's
Okay.
I think it got its due. I think obviously growing up in the era that we grew up in, that album was such a big deal, like such a
Yeah,
big deal.
you're right. You're right.
So I don't know if it's underrated as much as like I understand like maybe people don't go back and look at that now. Like the younger kids maybe don't know who that is, but I think for our generation, I wouldn't say that that was necessarily underrated. I will say that Everclear was on my short list. So much for the Afterglow.
I'll
Was
say
pretty
that's
good.
I'll say number 2 for that. You help.
Okay.
Thanks for helping me out. I'll say it because I'll just commit. But yeah, I remember we were listening to it. Probably I think in the River Park church parking lot. I remember there was sometime I was sitting in the car waiting. We were waiting for somebody or something, and we just kept like listening to the next song, and they were
Yeah.
all so good.
No, it's a good album. I mean, Sparkle and Fade, which I don't know if that's their first album or not.
I think it is.
I love that album. I think that's that was on my short list of underrated. So much for the Afterglow was a good follow up to that. But again, I felt like the singles from that weren't the best songs on that album. But
Yeah, Sparkle and Fade was their first one in '95, and then that followed up with So Much for
Okay.
Afterglow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just for underrated, I don't think a lot of people even I don't remember besides you, maybe one other couple other people were like big on it. So I think you're right with the underrated. And I think he's still making albums. He looks old as heck. That lead guy, he's gone through like I think 20 band members.
Art
Actually,
Alexakis, yes.
I actually saw Everclear when I was stationed in Hawaii. They actually played in K-Bay, Kaneohe at Bayfest back in like 2007 or 8. I can't remember what year it was, but they were still rocking it out, and it was actually enjoyable. That's one band that I forgot that I'd seen. Not that they weren't good. It's just I was drinking a lot back then, which I'm not, and I think I just airheaded on that. But he was still good back in 07, 08. I don't know how he's rocking out now though.
Yeah, they're still doing it. They're still out there on tour. But to say like the singles, I Will Buy You a New Life and like Father of Mine, like when those come on the radio or whatever, I'm not listening to them, but the rest of the album was really good.
Yeah. Once
Um,
again, I don't think I even have that one saved. Yeah, I actually do. But One Hit Wonder I thought was good, and Amphetamine is a pretty good one. If you not amazing lyrics, but pretty relatable lyrics, especially amphetamine, whatever
Yeah.
you want to pronounce it.
Like, come on,
And
you,
just
come on.
I'm not into it, so I don't know how to pronounce like
Right.
heroin,
Tehran. Yeah.
cayenne. But it was actually between Amphetamine and White Men in Black Suits as far as most underrated song, and I felt like for that album, the One Hit Wonder and Everything to Everyone was played so much on the radio that the White Men in Black Suits was one of my, I think, favorite song off that album.
Hey, we'll get into that later, but yeah, you're right. Decent pick there, Jake. So for my number one, and I'll just I'm helping you out a little bit on this one. I have Third Eye Blind. I have their debut album, which came out, what is that, 97? Yeah, so like I said, a lot of the stuff I picked was like 97, 99, later on. And this one got a lot of attention back in the day for, what is it, Semi-Charmed Life, which, is probably my least favorite song off that album. Jumper was a big one when I think that was released right before our senior year, like the summer before our senior year. So that was like a huge song. But the whole album is just a banger, dude. Like I'm looking at the track, and I rarely skip any of these, Losing a Whole Year, Narcolepsy. The ones I skip are Semi-Charmed Life and Jumper, just because I've heard them way too much. Graduate, fantastic. How's It Gonna Be? Thanks a Lot. Good For You. London is awesome. I believe that was on the Can't Hardly Wait soundtrack, maybe. I Want You might be the best song on there for me. I thought that might
Really?
be, yeah. The background's a decent. Every song like I'm looking at it for 14 songs. I think 12 of those are highly listenable.
See, I think that's why I dropped them, because I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs out of the album where I have them saved on my playlist. So I think all the other albums I'm talking about or picked were like 7 to 8 songs on the album that I liked.
And that's another band that just kind of like they had this album and then they had the one that followed up, and I think they had one single off of that album, and that album wasn't great. Like I wish it was better, but it wasn't. They just kind of fell off after that. I think, and some of it is, I don't think they're very good live, believe it or not.
Yeah, I exactly said that like probably 10, 15 years ago, because I was thinking like I saw a couple YouTubes of them playing live, and I was just like, it's not that good. I think they were just a studio band.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were. So yeah, that was my number one. I think that the songs that still get played or got played on the radio were not my favorite, but the rest of that album was just pure bliss.
I would say, yeah, that was my top 5 for sure. Number 5.
All right, you got your
So,
number one?
I think I mean, if people don't know, if they haven't gathered to what it's probably going to be, it's Marcy Playground, self-titled. As far as we're talking about best album, underrated, and I feel like people heard Sex and Candy, which I can't stand, and they didn't really maybe give the rest of the CD a try, but from Poppy's, the intro song, and the other thing too is like I like it when they have a good first song, and then sometimes you have song 2 and 3 that aren't good, and then like number 4, 3 and 4, if that was your hit, usually that's where you put it. They put Sex and Candy as number 2. I don't have that saved, but first song is decent, and then I skip down to from St. Joe on the School Bus. The next 7 songs, you got St. Joe on the School Bus, A Cloak of Elvenkind, then Sherry Frazier, then Gone Crazy, Opium, One More Suicide, and then the last one I liked on the CD was Dog and His Master. And I don't know. I feel like they're very diverse on the sound. You can like, well, what song is this? They didn't all sound the same, and I feel like the way he used his voice too was just underrated. I feel like his voice made a lot of those songs.
Yeah, he has a good singing voice. Do you think you don't like Sex and Candy because it was just played to ad nauseum, or do you think that you just didn't like it from the beginning? Because I thought it was, I think it's a fantastic song, but it's one of those songs where it's like, all right, I've heard it 14,000 times that I'm not going to listen to it anymore.
No, it was definitely played out. I think it is a good song, but I can't. I don't want to listen to it anymore. I think the radio ruined it.
Yeah, you're right. I had that album. I think St. Joe on a School Bus might be one of the most underrated 90s songs. That was on that was on my short list. But the rest of the album I just couldn't get into. Poppies was good. But then after that I didn't really. I could never.
Well, hey, I gave your albums a try.
I know.
I need you to give it a try.
No, I have the album. I've listened to it. I've tried to go back and see what I was missing, but couldn't get into it, my friend.
Well, listeners, I want you to maybe have a little more effort than James has given me. And, these albums that James has mentioned and I've mentioned, it's all opinion, right? And not everyone really cares for our opinion. We do have about 11, 12 people that do care about our opinion that listen to us. And
falling fast. Maybe like 6, maybe 7.
Right. Good thing we're not charging anything yet.
Right.
No, but yeah, I just on these long road trips, I try to listen to podcasts, but the music is what gets through me, because I'll just zone out on a whole album and really listen to it, and obviously pay attention to driving. But it's almost kind of like when you're driving, sometimes you just zone out and all of a sudden you're missed your exit. And luckily my exits are hours apart, so I really got a good playlist, and I would say over half of my music I listen to is probably music from the 90s.
Wow, half, huh?
Yeah,
Right.
a quarter of classic rock, and then a quarter of more recent stuff.
Wow.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's go to your number 3 underrated song of the 90s, and I kind of picked it for you, I think, right?
Well, I think it was a good switch up because we were talking about indie and alternative and rock.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really into rap at all in high school. A couple albums, but this album, when I heard some of these songs, I was like, wait a minute, this rap thing's pretty cool.
You were into the violence and, you know.
Not the violence, but
Oh.
just a white dude just driving in his little Toyota Corolla. That's not me. I'm just saying I can picture it.
Tiny Corolla.
One of
So
the
you
I think
have-
one of the best intro songs of an album. Really good.
Ambitions of a Writer by Tupac Shakur. So why do you like this song, Jake?
Well, that's not really the lyrics,
Mm.
but I just that beat. I something about that beat that I connected, and you know, I listened to some NWA and Dr. Dre and stuff like that. But this album was probably one of my favorite rap albums in high school.
Yeah, I think
It's
It
a little
was-
like the first five. I'm sorry for interrupting, but the first 4 or 5 are really good. I couldn't really get into the second half of the album. I wasn't feeling it. So yeah, those first 5 songs are what got me.
yeah, I think you would be hard pressed to find somebody our age that was in high school right that didn't have that album or at least like a mixtape for for your car ride.
Yep.
Going to and from school every morning. Just a bunch of white kids, ambitions of a writer.
Right, just getting all gangster up for school.
Oh man. All right. Let me see here. For my number 3, I went a little bit more obscure. I let you and John do the little bit more mainstream, which I'm glad you guys did because I had originally done some mainstream stuff. And this is a Pixie song from the 90s. This is off Trompe Le Monde. And this is Distance Equals Rate Times Time. You're a big fan of this song, Jake.
I'm a big fan of their catalog, but I'm blanking on this one.
So this is all right. Well, that's the Pixies. The Pixies are my favorite band of all time. We kind of touched on a little bit last episode is like why we think they didn't get very big. I don't understand why those songs didn't get played. You know, maybe they got played on like college radio. I'm guessing they did. Apparently, they were pretty big in Europe, so maybe Europe was just bumping those on the radio. But especially during a time of like kind of goofy lyrics. Like I wouldn't say all his lyrics are goofy, but I could understand why people, you know, wouldn't take him seriously. But back in, you know, presidents of the United States were doing like kind of goofy stuff. Even Beck's like early work was like kind of goofy lyrics, but over like a pretty memorable sound. I just know I'm not sure what happened with the Pixies and why they never really got the credit they deserved back in like the 80s and 90s.
Man, you brought up presidents of the United States. Dude, they had those songs were pretty lyrics were ridiculous. They didn't make any sense, but they just rocked out. And that's actually one I fell off my radar. That's a good shout out. I think that was a good album. I don't think the whole album was great, but the few of those really good songs. But with the Pixies, I didn't really listen to them or follow them until I know it's cliche, but until Fight Club when they had that outro song for the movie, and I was like, what is this band? I really did not know who they were. So then I went back and listened to a few of them, and I don't like their earlier stuff. I like their more early 90s because I mean they had some albums in the 80s, didn't they?
Yeah, I think you probably did. I mean, Where's My Mind is from like 89, 88.
Yeah, so that definitely was Surfer Rosa was a great album, I think.
Yeah, that's their first major album.
Oh,
I mean, they had like
well,
an
then
EP before that.
Well,
So
I
you
guess
don't know
I
what you're
just-
talking about.
Right. I probably should have looked them up, but I didn't have them on any lists. But yeah, I think that album was a great, but maybe because they didn't have a great follow-up album or big smash hits on the following albums. But Surfer Rosa was really good. I was we were 7 or 8, so I just missed it.
You didn't have your finger on the pulse of like indie rock back in 1988.
No, I was late bloomer.
I mean later on in their career they got the credit they deserve, but it's interesting that they didn't really have it back then. So yeah, that was my number 3. For your number 2, let's see what we got here. We're going with Foo Fighters again, right?
Yeah.
Foo Fighters Generator.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we got a cool little like live version of this for you. Let's see if we can play it.
I hope it sounds good.
I know. I think it will. I think it might.
Don't ruin this.
This is off the album. One of your underrated albums. So let's give it a listen.
I love that.
I like that talk box he's using. Let's see if he goes back to it.
So cool.
So that's Generator. Yeah, that's a great song. I think it was a single actually. I think they did play that on the radio a little bit. It might have been like the third single off that album. All right, for my number 2, it's a little obscure too. So this one's an interesting one. I heard it. I want to say like at Wavelengths or SBI skate shop when we were in high school. I heard it like one time, maybe 2 times, and I didn't. This is before internet. I couldn't go look up who it was.
Yeah.
So this is Sabado Flame. All right, well, that's Sabado Flame. Have you ever heard that song before?
I don't recall it vividly. I think I'm absolutely going to add that to my playlist actually right now. So listeners, if you hear a song you like, go ahead and pause our podcast and go search for it and save it on your Spotify or whatever you listen to. Because if I don't do it right now, I'm not going to listen to it. So Sabado.
Anyway, I mean,
good choice.
So I heard that. I heard it like in 99, probably. I guess that's when it came out. I want to say like either on a skate video or at a surf skate shop. And I was like, who the heck is that? I love that. And I didn't hear it again until like 2005 or 2006 when I got Sirius radio and they played it. And I was like, oh my God, that's that song I heard when I was like 18. And was able to put the song to a band. Yeah, and that's Sabado with Flame. I'm surprised that didn't get like more radio play. I don't even know if it got any radio play, but it seemed like it was right up the alley of like being a radio hit. Kind of heavy, kind of like melodic, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I absolutely could picture that as the music for a surf video or a skate video, and just people just having fun doing wild stuff and that song playing for sure.
You have to look that up and see if it was on like a skate or surf or maybe even like a snowboarding video. I think I was heavy into snowboarding at the time. All right, so for your number 1, which is a fantastic pick, I rarely compliment you on this podcast. It's usually belittling you and telling you what a doofus you are. But this is a fantastic song that I had totally spaced on. I think it probably is the best song off of this album, if I'm going to be honest with you. And it is, why don't you introduce it for us, Jake? You remember what it is?
Well, first of all, I appreciate your honesty. And It was almost like a backhanded compliment you just gave me. So I think we're making progress instead of just straight out insults. We're doing kind of complimenting statements that you're making. So yeah, so this is off Everclear. So Much for the Afterglow, one of my favorite albums or most underrated albums. And this is one song. This is a song that's later in the album, so I think maybe people just didn't get around to it or whatever. But I'm not, and I've mentioned this before on the show, like I'll listen to a song 100 times, but I'll never like memorize the lyrics for whatever reason. I just like the sound of their voice and the music, and I don't like always listen to all the lyrics. But this one I thought the lyrics are not relatable, but I can picture right, not for me, but no, I can picture this as a movie, and he's literally talking about how things can be for a person that's trying to do something with their life or that's not happy with their life. And I don't connect directly with the lyrics, but I understood that. I think the basis behind it of just living a life that you're not really enjoying.
Yeah, and I think Art has been open about his struggles with drug addiction. So I think a lot of especially the early songs are about that. I think he battled like heroin addiction.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these lyrics for those first two albums, like I just said, are about that. And I think this is kind of, hits on that. All right, here we go. So we got White Men in Black Suits by Everclear. That is a fantastic choice, Jake. I am very proud of you.
I win. What do I win?
Oh, nothing. Just a pat on the back.
But I mean, especially with the kids in the society today, with evil businessmen in the suits and bad rich white men just making things terrible and being mean people and ugly people, and it's like, yeah, it's been like, I mean, rich men in suits have always kind of been the enemy, and I feel like people can relate to it, and they I think this album just hits in so many different ways, and this was the song that was just really, really connected with me.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and it didn't have that, slow, heavy, fast, hard. It just kind of stayed at a simple, steady pace. And he has such a distinct voice, and his lyrics are, a little bit more profound. You can read into them a little bit more than like some of the stuff in the 90s, like we were saying, like, Presidents of the United States with Peaches and Kitty, I mean, and those are great songs, but like, I think he's telling a story pretty much throughout both those albums of just trying to figure out his life, trying to figure out how to get out of, trying to figure out sobriety, which is really cool. And, back in the day, you weren't thinking about it, but then you're like, oh, heroin girl. Like, oh, I understand. I know what you're talking about. No, but that's a great song, and I totally spaced on it. I'm glad you picked that one.
You're welcome.
All right, for my number one, this is a little bit more mainstream, and this might have been my favorite song of 1999. Let me see. Let me get it up for you
And
guys.
I don't know
here.
what your picks are. You had the power. You knew mine and
I
John's
do.
picks.
I did
Now-
because I had.
Well, 'cause you got to coordinate this, but now I am super excited. I hope it's not as good as mine. I mean, I hope it's great.
This is a live version. Let's see if this plays well. This is Soul Coughing Circles, which I just don't think gets enough attention as one of the greatest songs of the night. You don't know? Do you know the song?
I don't. This is like
All right.
the third song. Yeah, all these you picking everything I don't know, which is great because I'm
I mean,
gonna
this
go look
was
it up.
this was a radio hit. It played for a little bit, but I always thought it should have been bigger. I just thought it was a fantastic song. Let's see if this live version does it justice.
Maybe I missed out. Strong on heroin.
Stand up bass right there.
When you were languishing in rooms I built to found you in. When the wind sat down in full form and pulled you in. I don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, around in circles, walk around, yeah. Don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around, yeah.
Nerd.
Synth pop.
When the ghostly dust of violence traces everything. When the gas runs out, just wrecking you and sure the thing. I don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, around in circles, walk around, yeah. Don't
So that was Circles by Soul Coughing. You remember that song?
Well, it was funny because when the video was playing and it paused for a split second, about 30 seconds into it, I was like, oh, thank God he's turning it off. And then it was like, oh no, it was just
Wow, honey.
I'm gonna have to say a statement that you normally say to me, and I'm kind of disappointed in you. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think I'm gonna go look that up, and I feel like the audience might have my back on this one.
Wow.
It's good. It's good. It's just not great. I think you missed the mark on this one, James.
I don't know. Maybe there's some nostalgia to it because it came out like our senior year, getting ready to graduate, live our lives, and that song was a little bit on heavy rotation for a minute, and then it just kind of fell off. But maybe because it's not very good, as Jake's saying, so maybe that's why it fell off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, reality sucks sometimes, but I think that's what it is.
Nice.
Hey, so
Thanks for the words of wisdom.
right, deal with it, walk it off. No, yeah, all right. So housekeeping's probably gonna come in here any minute now, so I better skedaddle.
Put your pants back on. Yeah, you better put your pants back on.
I'm wearing pants.
Well, that was
Shorts,
fun, and then
smart.
pretty much wraps up Music Month of May, and getting close to season 1 of Taking the High Road being over.
Concluding,
Right?
yeah. I feel like maybe we'll keep going. Let's do like maybe last 2 shows of me in Chicago or visiting, and then we're doing, like I said, that flag football camp from June 2nd to I think the 12th. Maybe we can do 2 more shows, one a week, and we can talk about how that's going and just Chicago and summertime. I feel like then everyone can just have a break from us and enjoy the rest of June, and maybe we'll recommence season 2 later in the summer.
Later summer, maybe early fall.
Right.
You're gonna be once you're stationary for a little bit. But I enjoyed talking the music stuff. This was by far my favorite month and topic of stuff, just because I know we bond over it, and most of our generation, tends to bond over these especially the 90s stuff. It's such a unique era of music and television and film. So we got to hit on the music aspect of it. Maybe we'll go back and do some movies or television at some point too.
For sure. I think Yeah, I think our generation, anyone our plus or minus 5 to 10 years of our age can relate. So I think it was not just because we were teenagers during the 90s. I think it was really good music back then. And maybe every generation says it about the decade where they were, adolescents and turning into adults. But I'd like to see someone argue and give me a list of, best albums from the 2000s or best albums from the 2010s that could beat the list that we've made. So I think we're right. That's what I'm saying. We're right. Deal with it, and
Move on
we'll
with your day.
right. Move on with your day. We'll see you at the next episode, James. It was great talking to you, and this was also my favorite month, and I look forward to every episode. I think couple times during between January and April I was just not dreading the show, but like, oh god, I got to do research, I got to get ready, and it wasn't like, oh well, we got to talk about something, and just it was super easy, and I enjoyed listening to music and doing the research actually on this topic. So yeah, I think we're peaking out. I think this is as good as it's going to get, folks. So if it's not good enough, we'll see you around.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, John Frank, for hanging in there for 5 minutes with us. Hey, he was
8.
he was ready to rip through his list. I'm proud of him. He was on point.
Yeah, he's gonna be fun. He had an 8-minute segment. So thanks for your time, John.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Have fun with the housekeeping.
Right. Text you later.
Bang.
See you in Chicago. Bye bye.